Okay, for today's quick project, I'm gonna show you how to refinish the top of your table saw. For this project, we're gonna use a sander, some sandpaper, we're gonna use some towels or paper towels, some WD-40, and some paste wax. Now before we get started, I'm gonna go ahead and clean off the table saw. I'll use some air, spray it all down, do a quick wipe, and then we'll get started. You may not be able to see it on camera, but I've got a couple rough areas on the table saw, including some scratches I'd like to get out. We're working on a new miter saw, and I really want to ensure this thing is super smooth for it to glide nice and easy. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a progression of sandpaper. We're going to start with a lower grit, work our way up. For this project, we're actually going to start with 320. So we're going to go 320. I'm going to do 400. I'll skip all the way up to 800, and then we'll do 1,000. So that should give us a pretty good shine. Now, if you've got a lot of really deep scratches, or if you left a drink on the tabletop and it's got a lot of rust, you may have to go lower than that. Probably wouldn't recommend it. I think most people recommend starting at 400. I've got a couple deep scratches that I'd really like to be able to get out. So I'm gonna start with 320 and work my way up. All right, to start this off, the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and get some degreaser just to get any oil or other contaminants that may be on top of the tabletop. And then a note for doing this process, it is messy. You're going to get messy. I would put on some shorts and a shirt that you don't mind if it gets a little oily or a little greasy. So we'll start spraying down here. As well, this is a tedious project, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put in some tunes, and then we'll get started. Okay, well that looks better. I guess I don't need to do the process. I'm just kidding. Let's go ahead and get started. So when you're sanding, you're gonna use some WD-40, and that's to ensure that you're not scratching or catching into the metal. So we'll use a couple spots on one side, and then I'll work my way over panel by panel. And typically what I'll do when I work on the center section, I'll go ahead and take out the clearance guard. I'll get that out of the way just so I don't scratch it up with the sander. I didn't mention it, but I always wear my eye protection when doing this. You really don't want WD-40 in your eyeballs. When using your sander, you want to go in straight lines, so I like to reference going north to south and east to west. I would avoid circular motions, as this could create swirl marks in the top of your table saw. Ideally, you're doing passes where each new pass covers half of the old pass. Let's call that the half lap. So after you take the rag, then you'll take your paper towel, wipe it really clean, or you think it's clean, and then when you turn it over, it's still pretty black on there. So we're gonna flip this over, and we're gonna do it a few times to get as much of the grease and the oils off this thing. Okay, so that was number 2. Still seeing my handprint. We'll flip over. That was 3. Still seeing a handprint. Okay, much, much better. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next. All right, now we've got it sanded down all the way to 1000 grit. Now it's still got a little bit of oil and residue, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take a brand new towel and paper towels, and we're gonna take some degreaser and just try to pull the rest of that oil and grease off of it. So I'm gonna go through with a rag, and then we're gonna do the same thing with the paper towel. We're gonna use the same method where we flip the paper towel around, just trying to get every last bit of oil and grease off before we can actually put a finish on the table saw. Okay? So you can still see the lines. Look how dirty the towel is. So even the towel's getting pretty dirty. That's how much grease is coming off of this. Now, one thing you can tell is it's pretty shiny. You don't see a lot of the imperfections here and here. Now, granted, some of these scratches will not come out. You probably can't see that in the camera, but those are gonna be there forever unless I get really, really aggressive. So let's do another degreaser. This time we're gonna use the paper towels. The less grease there's on here, the less streaking you're gonna get. So you can tell if you still have quite a bit of streaks, that you still have quite a bit of residue on the table saw. And you can tell right there, I do. So this is gonna take us several passes to get everything off, and we want this thing super clean and empty of any contaminants before we put the paste wax on. We've got all the sanding done. We've got it fully wiped down using the paper towel method. I had a clean white paper towel when I was done, and basically this thing is so clean that you could probably eat off of it. And well, time for a cookie break. Oh no. Okay, well, cookie crumbs are gone. Let me get one more clean, wipe down, and then we'll start applying our finish. So what I'm using to put on top of the tabletop is just S.E. Johnson paste wax. I think this thing is pretty great. It's pretty inexpensive. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a regular towel to put the wax on. We're gonna let it dry 15 minutes, and then we'll buff it with a microfiber towel. And I highly suggest microfiber and not terry cloth. So we'll go ahead and get a good dab of this on. Now with sanding, I talked about going in straight directions, back and forth, right? North to south, east to west. But for the paste wax, I'm actually gonna put it in semicircles. Just get a little bit and go around. Now it's even great to go ahead and wax your clearance install here, because either way, wood's sliding over that right, so might as well get that as smooth as we can. All right. And don't be shy on the paste wax. This is a good time to use quite a bit. Now, cast iron, even though it doesn't look like it, it's pretty porous, so it will soak this paste wax in, which is what we're looking for. And the higher you sand it, it feels like you can see the tighter grain of that cast iron, but maybe I've been watching too much Forge and Fire. I'm gonna go ahead and do the extension wing as well as my fence. So I'm gonna get on both sides of the extension wing. Not that I use this part that much anyway. Maybe when I'm ripping down plywood, full sheets. But obviously the fence, almost every cut is along the fence. So we'll go ahead and get that nice and waxed up. Okay, got that all in. We'll wait about 15 minutes.
Now it's not necessary, but if you have a car buffer, now's the time to whip it out.
Oh, baby. Okay, so I cheated. I am still gonna use the smaller microfiber. Whoa! Boom, 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 baby. Let's go. All right, and like that, we've got the table saw all refinished. We've got the majority of the surface scratches out. We've got some of those imperfections out. I'll do my best not to leave any more projects on the tabletop. We've got it protected with some paste wax. So that's one, gonna protect it, two, gonna help things slide across, and three, well, it gives it a really good shine. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this process. It's pretty simple. It is tedious. It's gonna take you some time, but man, what a result. I feel like I've got a brand new table saw, and until next time, I'm